What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and today we talk about what we saw in the first ever time Aaron Glenn was in action as the head coach of the New York Jets. The first time Justin Fields was in action as the QB1 for the New York Jets in what was the preseason opener against the Green Bay Packers, and quite frankly, things could not have gone that much better. The Jets dominated, in my opinion, on many aspects of the game and beat the Green Bay Packers in the preseason opener 30-10. So let's talk about it. And we have to start with the first team offense in that first series led by Justin Fields, okay? There had been many reports at practice that he wasn't doing so sharp, that the passing game didn't look good. Well, let me tell you something. He was efficient. They moved the ball, and you saw glimpses of what I have been talking about here on Jets Latest, the idea that this added element of Justin Fields in the running game certainly mattered, certainly happened, and even led to the lone touchdown in that drive for Justin Fields' 13-yard scramble. I mean, Justin Fields played one series, and here are the stats, okay? A 10-play, 79-yard drive. He went 3 for 4 for 42 yards. Two of the passes were actually to tight end Andrew Beck. He ran twice for 14 yards, the 13-yard scramble. In that drive, Fields had a quarterback rating of 108.3 on that drive. Now, it was just one drive, but you could obviously see it. And here's what Aaron Glenn had to say. He goes, I thought Justin got the guys in and out of the huddle. It was good to see Justin use his legs also. We know that he has that in his bag. I think the thing that he showed the most part is that we can call a play to get a shot, and if the shot's not there, he can check it down. He was patient. He did everything that we needed to get this win. And for him to be the quarterback, we know he can be. I mean, it was very encouraging, right? It looked sharp. It looked like Fields, if he didn't have it, he went underneath a couple times, right? He was able to use his legs. I thought it looked good. It was very encouraging. Let me tell you a couple of other things I noticed here from the offense. I thought it was interesting that Tyler Johnson was working as the wide receiver 3 with the starting offense. It was Garrett Wilson, it was Josh Reynolds, and it was Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson even had a third down conversion catch. I thought that was interesting. I talked about Andrew Beck mixing it in kind of with the starters. He got the 2 receptions. Remember, Mason Graham was not there. We were talking about, would it be Stone Smart? Would it be Jeremy Ruckert? Don't forget about Andrew Beck, who we have talked about here on Jets Latest, kind of being used. And we talked about how Tanner Engstrand really develops tight ends, uses the tight end. So it was interesting to see Beck a couple of times as kind of safety valves in play action being used. Also, listen, the offensive line completely dominated, in my opinion. In the run game, you saw them moving the line of scrimmage, okay? In the passing game, you saw Membu and Fashanu really having their sets, giving Fields time, and if not, giving him alleys and pockets to run and scramble. And quite frankly, the run game looked great. We ran the ball 39 times for 152 yards. And I've been telling you, part of the reason we don't need some standout wide receiver as our number 2, like Keenan Allen, who, by the way, has signed with the Los Angeles Chargers, or anybody else, is because we are going to be a run-heavy team that's able to punch people in the mouth and then be efficient in the passing game. That's what the Baltimore Ravens do. That's what the Detroit Lions do. And quite frankly, Braylon Allen also impressed, in my opinion. You saw with that offensive line opening holes, Braylon Allen got a head of steam going for like a 12, 13-yard game at one point, and it looked violent and physical, okay? Allen mixed in right away, along with Hall, along with Isaiah Davis. We saw all 3 backs, but that run game and that O-line continue to, in my opinion, impress and do exactly what we said it was going to do. We saw Justin Fields be an element of the run game as well, and then we saw Justin Fields on time, making reads, making throws, and checking down when need be. I thought for the first team offense, it really went well, and I would be excited to continue seeing that. And I thought it was smart that Aaron Glenn had him in for only one drive. We saw what we needed, and then we put him back in bubble wrap. So all of that talk in camp about how, the green and white scrimmage, that he only went 2 for 10, that the passes weren't looking good. Well, what I saw against Green Bay, it looked good. And let me tell you something. Maybe the reason that sometimes this Jets offense doesn't look so great in practice is because they may be going against one of the better defenses in in the NFL against practice because the Jets defense looked dominant at times against the Green Bay Packers. Let me tell you what they did. First of all, the Packers went 1 of 10 on third down conversions. The Jets forced 2 turnovers in that game, right? A special teams turnover and a strip sack fumble that was recovered in the end zone for a defensive touchdown. They had 4 sacks. What are the things that we have been talking about here on Jets Latest about they're going to try to get pressure, right? That they're going to be more aggressive. The physicality, I think you could tell that on the field. In the first drive, Sauce Gardner tackling, Sauce Gardner breaking up passes, right? The Jets defense only allowed 188 yards for the entire game, and we dominated time of possession. So I thought that was all very good. And also, one of the things we were talking about here going into this game, right? I talked about how Quinnen Williams was down. We talked about how Byron Cowart was down. We talked, could it be Derek Nottie? Could it be Leonard Taylor, who showed up and kind of made that flash to be an interior defensive lineman? Well, another guy who it could have been, and it was Jay Tufele. Jay Tufele had a great game, okay? 1.5 sacks, 4 pressures of the quarterback, and he had that fumble recovery for a touchdown. You see in the picture, he even tried to give the ball to Aaron Glenn at the end. Aaron Glenn at the press conference afterwards laughed and said, it was great that they wanted to give me the ball, but I wanted him to have that moment. Listen, it was physical. It was noticeable. And when I say Tufele, also Leonard Taylor, also, again, flashed as a defensive lineman option. So we've all been talking about how we need to get someone next to Quinnen Williams. The same way we've been talking about how we need to get a wide receiver too. I think this game showed, no, we don't necessarily need that wide receiver too. We had Tyler Johnson making good plays. We had guys like Beck. We had the running backs making plays, right? The run game. And then with that defensive line, I thought Leonard Taylor played well. I thought Jay Tufele played well. We haven't even seen Cowart yet. We didn't really see much of Nottie as well. So again, this can be done kind of putting it all together for what we thought would be weak links necessarily. But I thought the defense absolutely looked good as well. And they looked like they were enforcing their will. The Jets on the trenches, both sides of the ball were moving the line of scrimmage. That offensive line was more physical, pushing the Packers D-line back. The Jets defensive line looked more physical, getting pressure on whatever quarterback it was, whether it was Jordan Love, whether it was Malik Willis. We even saw Will McDonald using the bull rush. We saw Will McDonald, by the way, I saw his spin move forcing, I think it was Love to step up in the pocket, and then Tufele getting a sack off of that. That is what we want to see. We saw like Cisco coming in as a heat-seeking missile on some balls over the middle. We saw Sauce Gardner tackling. I saw Sherwood making plays. It looked the way Aaron Glenn and here on Jets Latest has said it was going to look. So really, a lot of things look good for the Jets. And Aaron Glenn talked about this after the game. He talked about a lot. He said the Jets were pretty much on brand. Remember these character traits I keep on talking about, right? The versatility, the aggressive, the football IQ and all that stuff. It was the same on brand, on message Aaron Glenn after the game, okay? He goes, preseason or not, a win is a win. I always taught myself, if you want to be a winner, not only do you have to understand how to win, but you have to understand how to consistently win. This is a good win for our guys. A lot of good things happened in this win, but there are a lot of things we need to clean up, and we will clean those things up, right? So the same kind of character for Aaron Glenn, being happy about it, taking that, saying that, yeah, this is worth something. We are, the same as like we are tackling in practice, right? We are expecting this all the time. We want to get into those winning habits, but then always saying that there's things they need to work on, right? Even talking about Pro Bowlers, that there's stuff that needs to be worked on. That is what Aaron Glenn has done the entire season. Check out what else Aaron Glenn had to say. He goes, that's our brand when you look at it. Look at the things he calls out. The same exact stuff that, quite frankly, was exactly evident on the field against the Packers. He goes, the way that we ran the ball, very efficient in our passing game. We had the ball for over 38 minutes and no turnovers. We had 2 takeaways, one on special teams and one on defense. Everything about what we did was our brand. Our O-line knocked people off the ball, and that's who we have to be because that is our brand of football. That's what they want to be. That's the character. That's the identity. That's the vision, and we finally saw it come to pass on the field against an NFL opponent. I think it looked very, very good. However, the one thing that I saw that I know Aaron Glenn does not want to see. You saw Aaron Glenn heated about it on the sidelines as well at times. We have talked about it here on Jets Latest, is the penalties. There were penalties that kind of hurt the Jets in a couple of times. There were some silly penalties. We were dominant in the first quarter. Then the first drive for Malik Willis, right? There was two back-to-back plays of 15-yard penalties, right? That was when the Packers got their first score. We weren't allowing anything until they had a drive aided by 30 yards of penalties. Aaron Glenn was focused on that. Aaron Glenn talked about it in the little halftime interview before halftime. Aaron Glenn talked about it at the podium after the game, and you could tell that that is something that is still going to be a point of emphasis, and quite frankly, something that I think Aaron Glenn is, I don't want to say he's happy that it happened, but he knows he now still has something to get in their ass about. And listen to what he said after the game. He goes, the only thing that wasn't our brand was the amount of penalties that we had. Some of those penalties were undisciplined penalties, so we got to clean that up. He goes, I look forward to addressing that in the locker room. And I think what I mean is he still wants to be able to have something to address. There were 10 penalties on the Jets, and as you know, I've said it here on Jets Latest, the Jets have been the most penalized team in the NFL the last 2 seasons in a row. One thing I did note, when players committed penalties, especially like silly, stupid, undisciplined penalties, they were taken off the field. And yes, by the way, Michael Clemens had one of them, and then he was pulled off the field, okay? I even saw Will McDonald have one. Then he was pulled off the field. Jeremy Ruckert, I believe, had one. He was pulled off the field. So that's part of what Aaron Glenn is still continuing to do. And otherwise, the Jets were able to enforce their will. So I thought, all things considered, it was a really nice effort for the New York Jets. It was a great debut for Aaron Glenn, for Justin Fields, and for the culture, because a lot of it was, in fact, evident in what we saw. And adds up to a 30-10 dominant performance with our starters scoring, with our defense making plays, with us owning time of possession, and us owning the line of scrimmage on both sides. So that'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. It really looked good. We will continue to talk about it all week long. Joint practices with the New York Giants leading up to a preseason game 2 against the New York Giants. Let's see what some of you had to say. And thank you all. By the way, we crossed the 2,000 subscriber mark recently. So shout out to everybody, including some of the regulars like Old Dave 1000, who says, well done once again. I appreciate that your show and the Glenn era are building and growing at the same time. Speaking of that growth, right? Says signifying professionalism that was missing for a long time. I hope that you're both around for a long time. Thank you so much, Old Dave. Shout out to Old Dave. Definitely a regular, along with Shannon McLean and others. We appreciate that. I hope I'm around for a long time too. And it would be great if this channel and the Glennaissance grows together. Charles Ciceri out there says, let's go, hurry up, I gotta go to work. But first, I wanna hear from my boy. Thanks, buddy. Thank you. People are out there waiting for it to drop. We will be here every day, especially now. We've got games. We've got real stuff to talk about we are seeing on the field, so I appreciate that people are checking in every day here on Jets Latest. And then D-Lo Jet 3702 says, keep it up, Dane, from Cali. I like it when you shout out where you are from, because we are really building it, whether it's the people in Germany, whether it's people all around the country. Listen, there are Jets fans, transplanted New Yorkers all across the country, all across the world, right? So I'm glad that you guys are tuning in to Jets Latest to get what you need, to get the analysis, to get the quotes, to get the stats, to get the real about the Jets, Jets. And like always, if you want more from me, the spitting statistician Dane Martinez, I am the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM Channel 87, the Fantasy Channel, okay? It is definitely fantasy football season. You may have your draft going on. Feel free to ask me questions about that too, whether it's in the comments on Jets Latest or on social media. I am at Spittin' Speeds on Twitter, X. I definitely engage with you guys. I love engaging with all of you, and this is going to be an interesting week because remember I told you to get the season win total for the Jets? I wonder if there's movement there. Remember I told you to get the season rushing prop for Justin Fields? I wonder if there's movement there. And now all of a sudden you're going to start hearing people say, whoa, this Jets team is starting to take on the identity of Aaron Glenn. Whoa, this Jets team may be surprising, a la the Detroit Lions of a few years back. So we've been here on the ground floor talking about it. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Like, watch, subscribe, and tell everybody. But if you just want the green and white, We are here at Jets Latest. I will be here every day this week. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And we've got what looked and felt different and reasons to be optimistic. So I hope you're excited. I am too. And I'm excited to talk about it with you right here on Jets Latest. But that'll do it for this episode. Until next time, we out of here. Peace.